Welcome, everyone. Welcome, All Access and Patreon. Here's that little device we recently showed on YouTube and the guts of it. And it is a little interesting here. I mean, this is your intent and target, so you're supposed to focus the energy. I believe this circuit puts out a usual field that is 7.8, your typical Hertzian field. But it's interesting here is what this person did, which I'm a little bit surprised they even had that much intelligence, because they just don't really know anything about these fields. This is a very specific field. Virtually no one knows anything about these subtle energies, how they work. They are shooting in the dark most of the time, and so what they put out is usually pretty mediocre, whether it's tachyon cells or so many other things out there. Many even produce negative energies, as I've shown you. But this is very interesting. The circuit, which is hooked up into here, very thin, but it's soldered right onto here. I'm trying to figure what that does. So again, of course, you have these chips usually operate, you're getting the lights that are here and these type of things. And of course, here's your different switches for intent and target. And, of course, you're on and off, the usual stuff. Now, the whole idea is that there is no chip or some sort of programming that can make thought forms empowered. There just isn't such a thing. There's no way to use a common computer code to then amplify what is the higher consciousness energies. So there's no chip that can do that. You got to remember that computer technology in general is very poor. These are great little tools. They help you in life, but they don't really do that much. If you want to write a book or something else, and you use a word processor, well, those are doing. But you still have to know how to write, type, etc. This is what computers are. They're not. There's no such thing as AI computers. They're not thinking. They're following programs, and these have a very limited capacity. So this is the information put in these chips, though, are very difficult to find out what it is ultimately. But as I can say, there is nothing there. So the whole idea is this energy. And it looks like they have done that right. The energy comes here, goes in, and then is going in this direction. Okay? So what's good here is the fact that this is a clockwise spin, generally. Now, when it comes in this way. Now, there's always a problem with actual circles, because you're supposed to start from the center, basically, and go out. So it's confusing what is a right turn clockwise spin, like a watch, and what is a counterclockwise spin in terms of how it's set up. So you can look at this. If the wire's coming in, it's going in here, and then it's doing this. Clockwise. If you go from the center, it's counterclockwise. And let's, of course, hold our pendulum over this yet again. I don't think this put out any negative energy. But now that it's stripped down, I believe this was producing lots of neutral energy. So is this neutral, positive, or negative? Of course, we're now right over that circle. We actually may get some sort of spin. Very interesting, because, again, I think everything on this had an actual neutral spin on it, which, as I've stated, doesn't mean it's bad, but it's not putting out positive changing energies. And, of course, I think we tried that when it was on as well, and it didn't do that. This coil, you could say that once you put your intentions and so forth in it, should activate differently, but we didn't find most of that. It just doesn't seem to have much happening here. Here's the front plate again. Of course, that just goes on here. Nothing particular in the back. What I did find in this unit, which I found kind of interesting, is there actually is a little crystal chunk here. This looks like it may be man-made, but it may not be. These little chips and stuff are when you're harvesting crystals, cutting them, etc. Lots of these little chips come off of them, and they're kind of production waste. They can be ground up and used for different things, or people even sell them as little chunks like this. But this was actually up here. If I can let's see that. So it had a little crystal in it as well. Now, one of the misconceptions about crystals is that they amplify everything, and that's why you use them. Well, particularly clear quartz, as this is. Now, they are an amplification, but, you got to remember that these things hold the energy of what you put in them, and this is where crystals become a problem. If you're using a device and you're using it for something or some person, the energies you just put into that device will go into the crystal. And if it's not cleared out, you're going to send. So if you're sending energy of, let's say, prosperity to one person that you've been working on, it's in your machine, the crystal will hold that energy and send prosperity to another person who you may only want to be sending healing energies to. So this is all part of the reality that you have to be careful with the crystals. I love crystals and stones, and we will be having many different coated discs with stone energy in them. But the bottom line is that we have to keep in mind that crystals are basically, clear quartz crystals are basically empty programs or batteries that fill up with a particular program and then produce that. So you have to clear them out, whether you do it psychically, you place it on one of our clearing boards, which is what we recommend. Any device you use, you should be placing, let's see if I have my clearing board here. You should be placing the device on the clearing board before and after you use it. So something like this. So if you were using this machine, or it could be any crystal, you want to place it on the clearing. Very, very important. Get that energy out of there. Plain and simple. Get it out of there. So we don't want to keep any residual energies. One person's energy is probably not good for another's, and we do have to keep all that in mind. So it's just all part of understanding energy. So, and these kind of energies, which are subtle energies in their own way compared to crude toxic energies that so many other things are in life, have profound effects on your energy system, and as such, have long-term effects on you. So if you're using anything that has stones or crystals, or just in general, if you're using stones and crystals, you may put them on your radionic machine or whatever you're doing. Make sure you clear those out. And with our new clearing plates, you can't get easier than that. So you generally leave something on here for at least an hour to two, depending on what it is. These plates can be left under machines permanently. You just keep the energy functioning at a high, pure level. So, I can't emphasize enough how important. Everybody needs to have one of these clearing plates. And we can look at the back here again. So and of course, using spirals and everything else is a very powerful energy. And we have spirals that we're coming out as well in disc form that you will have to work with that empower things. Basically, this person just took a piece of, this is plastic, cut a circle out of it so he could then fit the wire in it and keep the circle going. So basically it's made pretty good, even though this wire is very, very thin. I would have liked to have seen stronger wires there, thicker wires. But it is well soldered there. It comes from the circuit or is going into the circuit, depending on how you want to look at that. So the energy is flowing into the circuit and then goes through it and so forth. So that's a cute little design. It's interesting. The unit, and here's the little crystal again. The unit is generally made pretty good. You've got your printed little screen here. All of this is good, and they did a fairly good job on it. Like most units like that, the actual energy output of this is very low. It's got very low energy, very low broadcast capacities, and that's all part of the process here. So it's a fun thing, but it's a little bit too crude. I mean, we have the ultimate manifesting technology, the psi generator, the Psion generator, which is a very powerful manifesting, projecting tool that uses special energies again to think that everything's, circles like this are certainly good energies in general. And of course, this is not putting out a positive energy, it's putting out a neutral energy, which is kind of interesting. That may be because, as I said, it's always confusing. If this is going counterclockwise, it's canceling out the productive or good energy. So you got to get energy spinning clockwise in general. So it's kind of a fun little item. As far as I know, none of this stuff is available. I certainly wouldn't recommend anybody buying this stuff. I like to show people things. And of course, as an organization that's constantly looking what's happening out there and does somebody have anything interesting, well, I've stopped doing that because there's really nothing out there of much value. I do like to test certain things I feel are good or look at them. But are they worth the time and money to go out and buy things like that? Well, no. And, we just don't have the support to go out and buy every little item like this and check it. So we do welcome items from people. If you want us to check something, let us know. You can also send photographs, and we'll check to see if a particular product is that you own, does it have good, negative, or neutral energy in it. So it's another interesting thing out there. And like most of these things, and if this is made by the guy I think it is, there is nothing that a regular engineer, electrician, etc. can do in this area. They don't understand it, they are negative to it, and they just are basically lost. Secondly, they really haven't trained themselves. They don't know the realities of this energy. And this is always a problem with everybody. What is the reality of these energies? What are we talking about here? And if we don't understand the nature of the energy, then we're going to have a problem trying to do everything in the electromagnetic spectrum. And let's understand, this is all electromagnetic. This is electrical circuit. This circuit is powered by 3 batteries. Oh, that's the one thing we didn't look at here. I didn't mention. It also has a coil up here. Again, those are all kind of smart things to put in there. And let's see here. It seems to be, again, it's soldered properly. I mean, these are good connections. You can see I can't break them off easy. A lot of things you can go and break off because they don't know how to solder properly, and it's not a good connection. So we've got this coil, and which is, of course, feeding energy into the different circuit as well. So it's kind of a cool electric design, especially for something that was relatively cheap. I think this was a little over $100 at the time, but I got this many years ago. So it's an interesting little design. I do like to use coils myself. I also like to use these kind of coils in my units. But I don't connect them electrical-wise because that really doesn't help anything. It actually hinders. But it's interesting. I hope everybody enjoys. There's another thing out there. What's in those devices? What are people doing? Well, you can always bet on Radionic Tech to get you out there and let you know what's going on. Hope you've enjoyed. More coming.